Hi, welcome. I'm Mary and I hook books. I crochet things inspired by books I read. And today I'm going to tell you my top 10 dystopian books from 2024. And there's a stray cat and a moth on my porch. So if you hear a lot of kitty chittering, we're just gonna go with it. So I already made my favorite apocalypse video, so a dystopia is a little bit different than an apocalypse. Apocalypses are a big dramatic thing, usually happening like right now or in the recent past. A dystopia may be the result of an apocalypse, or like sadly and scary enough, it could just be the slow falling apart of a society. Monster wants to come say hi. So there is some overlap, but it's my list and I want to just talk about more books. So number 10 is Breeders, and this is post-vague apocalypse, and you know I love a vague apocalypse, but we've been in this society for several generations now, and there are not girls and women. There are boys, men, crystal boys, breeders, and shadows. So that tells you a lot about this society. They decided that government is what ended the world, so no government, just corporate economy. And even children in school, you have like a quarterly check-in of how much you've taken from society and how much you've given back. They only actually do schoolwork one day a week and they're working the other days. So this was very dark, kind of like Dark Divergent vibes, but so good. And number 9 is The Last Murder at the End of the World. And this, I think, is the third book by Stuart Turton. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle is one of my favorite books. This just, it tripped out my mind and I freaking loved it. His follow-ups have not been as successful, but I did like this one. A lot of people didn't. Again, something has happened. We don't really know, but there is a fog, and the only people on the planet that we know are still alive are the people on this island. And at 7 o'clock every night, everyone has to be in bed at home. That's curfew. Because everyone goes simultaneously unconscious. And what is happening while these people are unconscious? And there is more murder mystery in it. One of the top leaders is killed. They have to figure out what happened to them. So I liked it. It was not as good as The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, but I really did actually enjoy it. The Deep Sky is dual timeline, so we're getting the current timeline with these women in space, and space fascists has kind of been a recurring theme this year. I'm just now realizing this. So these women are on a spaceship, and it's all women going to colonize another planet because we screwed this one up. And when they get there, they're all going to be giving birth. So I thought that was a really interesting take on the colonization of the stars. But our other timeline is back on Earth, and we have screwed things up royally. And on top of that, these teenagers are recruited from all across the world, and they're being educated. I think there's 1,000 of them, and 100 of them get to go on the mission. And throughout their education in this school, they're constantly monitored, not just by the higher ups, but they're also on social media. And your social media presence can influence, hi Monster, your standing and your ability to go on this mission. So reality shows are just kind of dystopian to me anyway. We've screwed up the planet, and now we're in deep space with people that we thought we could trust. And number 7 is Feedback, and this is the 4th book in the Newsflesh series. And in the Newsflesh series, someone created a virus that cured cancer, and someone created a virus that cured the flu, and someone was like, you know, we have to get this out to as many people as possible, so they aerosolized both of them, dropped them from airplanes across the country, and unfortunately those 2 viruses got together and made zombies. So that is the premise of the whole series. We're following newsies, people who run blogs in this apocalypse, and they've been living in this apocalypse for like 20 years, and zombies are just a way of life. But Feedback, I feel like, is Mara Grant going back and rewriting the first book from a more diverse perspective, and I really liked that. Number 6 is Hunting by Stars, and this is the sequel to The Marrow Thieves. And that one, the premise of this dystopia, people can't dream anymore. The only people who can dream and everything that goes along with sleep, REM, and not going crazy, are Indigenous people from Canada. At least, like, those are the only ones that are mentioned. Maybe it's all Indigenous people. I don't know. Our book is in Canada. And we are a couple years after the first book. We get some flashbacks, figuring out more of the family dynamic, and we get the results of having to live in this world where these Indigenous people are literally hunted down for their bone marrow. And it's not just Canada anymore. It has spread to the United States, and things get vicious and crazy from there. And I guess I skipped number 5. So number 4 is Life as We Knew It. And in this world, a comet struck the moon and it got off of its orbit, and that had disastrous consequences for us on planet Earth. Volcanoes were created, tsunamis, earthquakes, and of course, you know, like, not quite nuclear winter, but basically nuclear winter, because the ash from all the volcanoes is blocking out the sun. So this book follows one family in this small town and how they survive their first year in this apocalypse. And I really did enjoy this series. I'm up to the 3rd one now. The 2nd book is a different family in a different city, and in the 3rd book, those 2 families come together. I bought the 4th book, so I didn't know it existed, and then I found out it existed, and I bought it immediately, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the 3rd book. So I really like the family dynamics, and in the 2nd book, the community dynamics, and how we have to come together or stay apart in order to survive and protect the people that we love the most. And number 3 is Our Missing Hearts. And this was scary. This is a very scary and very plausible dystopia. My favorite, most chilling line in this book is, "Oh, this is America. We don't burn books. We're more civilized than that. We recycle it into pulp." And I just, I am terrified for our future. And number 2 is The Hush. And in this world, there's a pandemic, and infants are being stillborn. And at first it's 1 in 10, then 1 in 8, 1 in 5, 1 in 2. And it goes to the point where to buy a pregnancy test, you need to register, and you have to take it in front of the pharmacist at the store. And our protagonist is unfortunately a teenage pregnant girl, and people who are pregnant, especially teenagers, start disappearing. And I loved the intergenerational representation of women and different values that women can hold and still be valid throughout this book. I loved the ingenuity of the teenagers and the teamwork of this family. This is terrifying, but very good. And my number 1 top dystopia of 2024 is Chain Gang All-Stars. And I was not on board with this for the first 10 or 15% of the book, like one of the characters in the book who is not on board. And gradually it sucked me in, and I had to know, I had to keep watching, I had to keep reading. And the prison system in future America, which, you know, it's already privatized, it's not that much of a stretch to think that soon we're going to be using prisoners for entertainment, and it's a whole thing. People become stars. These prisoners go on press tours, basically, and they are on teams that get to travel from one place to another, encountering other teams and battling these other teams. And they have these, like, mid-season, end-season kind of big battles that take place in a coliseum, in a big stadium where they have to fight to the death. And the one person left at the end of the season gets to go free. So, not all the ends are tied up, so if you need that, this might not be the book for you, but this was such a big surprise for me. I didn't think I would really like the reality TV take, but it really was very poignant about American voyeurism and reality TV, our constant need to be entertained, and how easily, even if you think you're a good person, you can get sucked into things. The characters were fantastic. The main sapphic relationship was like my new OTP. I loved them. So it's not gonna be for everybody, but it was one of my absolute favorite books this year. I pushed it on so many people, and I hope that you'll pick it up too. So that was my top 9 dystopian reads of 2024. What was your favorite dystopia? Are you into dystopias? I feel like it was really big in the early 2000s, and it's kind of fallen by the wayside, but I feel like it might be making a resurgence. I don't know. What do you think? And please do the YouTubies, like, subscribe, share, comment. If you would like to donate to the Crochet and Fancy Feast Fund financially, you can buy me a coffee. That's in the description below. We're almost at the new year. Please take care of yourselves, get some rest, drink some water, get a good night's sleep, get some exercise, eat a nutritious meal, take a bath, do things that really take care of your soul. And remember, shoulders back, head up, and breathe.